We're going to take a look at C++ structs, and according to your lesson here, you should have seen structs in C as well, and it kind of works similar to in C++ as well. Here I have defined a struct right here, very simple struct. It's used with the keyword struct in the beginning, and it has a body that opens and closes, and it finishes with a semicolon at the end. Student is the name of this particular struct, and you can look at structs as objects that have, what you want to do is you probably want to look at structures as items that have attributes. And these are the two attributes to the student struct right here, a name and a VID, Valencia ID. And right below it I have another struct that has an attribute of a student roster array inside of it. Now the difference between these two right here is obviously the attribute, but also that I also have a variable called my courses that represents the struct courses. I don't have anything that represents student right now, but inside of main I do. And I can declare it just like I would declare an integer variable. I declare of type student, this struct right here. I declare a variable name called myStudent. Now, you could assign to the attributes inside of myStudent by using the dot myStudent.name, which represents name, myStudent.vid, which represents the VID, and assign it a string and an integer, just like so. There's other ways to doing that. Without using the dot notation, I could also use a pointer to name to also assign a string to it. And you would assign a variable to the pointer. Now obviously this is not a pointer right here, so it's giving me an error when I do that. So I'm actually going to just show you right here. What you would do is declare student as the type and create a pointer student, let's call it. And pointer student will get the address of my student, and now this pointer object will now have the address of my student here, the struct of student, my student. And I could use these pointer student to now assign a name to Jimmy right here. And also I could use it to assign the VID as well. VID, give it 3 right there as well. So those are two ways you could actually assign things to the my student that you have for the student struct. Either way that you like to do it is fine. The pointer is a little bit more powerful because you could actually have it get the address of several structs as opposed to one. We'll just change this back to the way we had it. Give it back to Jimmy. There we go. And get rid of the pointer. There we go. And you'll notice also my courses, which represents courses right here because I declared it right away, dot my student roster, which is the attribute inside of it of position 0, gets my student, which is the student we created right here. So we put this struct inside of an array of structs. And notice how the array of structs is declared. It is called student my student roster. So it's an array of this kind of students right here, this kind of structs. So it contain students inside of it, which is kind of neat. And since it gets it, I go ahead and print out the name, my courses dot my student roster of position 0, which was my student dot name, because it contains a student inside of that position, and that student's attributes has name and vid dot name, and print it. And when I go ahead and print it, it prints out Jimmy. Okay, so hopefully this is helpful to get you started. I'm now going to go into a little bit more complicated struct right now. Okay, in this struct right here, we can take a look at, I have a struct called movies, and like I said, it's a little bit more complicated. It's title and year, and I declare it with an array instead of a normal just variable name. So it'll be an array of movies right here. And with this array, it's of size 3, not a lot of going to be stored in movies here. My movies of position 0 dot title right here, I assign it Star Wars, and then I print it out. If I go ahead and run this, it'll print Star Wars. Okay, and I could add things to position 1 and then position 2, 0, 1, and 2, which will be 3, size 3, of movies for structs. Okay, so that's another way you could use structs, and it's a little bit more complicated than just using just a regular variable name. Now you have an array of structs like we did previously inside of another struct. Now we're doing it with the actual struct right now. So hopefully these tutorials were helpful, and I'll see you in the next